First question, gentleman here in front.
Hi, Paul Kelso, Sky News. Question for Chris and for Ash, if I could. Chris, could you talk a little bit about how Gareth Bale has thrown himself into this team environment and what he's brought to this campaign that's brought you so far? And Ashley, for you, the challenges of dealing with not just a team as talented as Portugal, but an individual in Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think you can't, said before, you can't manufacture, you can't pretend that you're either a team player or you're not. You know, you're either comfortable in being in a team environment and happy to work to a certain type of ethic, or being a place with a bunch of people that enjoy being together, enjoy working hard, and enjoy putting themselves out there, knowing that they're not guaranteed anything, even if they do give of the best, but they just want to do it because they're doing it for their country. And you can't pretend that you're either like that or you're not. And obviously Bale is exactly like that, just like the rest of the lads. But that's not just at this tournament, you know. I mean, everybody's seeing us now at this tournament, but you know, we had a whole campaign to get through, to get here, where they were exactly the same, you know. So all this, where we find ourselves now, it hasn't happened overnight, you know. The players and the bonds that they have together, that togetherness, you know, that's not just because we're having a great tournament. And it's easy now, isn't, you know, to say we've got good team spirit. Everybody's got good team spirit on a shiny day when you're winning. Hasn't always been the case for us. You know, we've well, that team spirit you see, that's real, you know, but that came from the darker days where it wasn't so easy for us. And Bale, you know, he's exactly the same as the rest of the players in that.
Yeah, no, I think it's obvious that he's one of the greatest players in the world, but they do have other weapons as well in their team, so we won't, you know, we're not obsessing over him. I think we do our work and we pay them the respect that they deserve, and we'll try and nullify them as a team, as we have done all tournament.
Okay, next question, gentleman in the back shirt.
Hi, Chris. You said before the first game against Slovakia that you weren't here for a holiday. You were here to have a good time, but to play your football and to win and to make people very proud. When you said that, which is going on for 3 weeks ago now, could you ever believe that you would be sitting here now before a semi-final?
I think I never thought about this. When I thought about the tournament and I looked at the group we were in, I first of all thought we're capable of getting out of the group, you know. I don't think it was presumptuous of me to think like that. I know football and anything can happen, but I thought if we get it right, then we can get out of the group. You never know who you're going to get in that draw in the 16. So then you're thinking, right, and then there's the quarter-final right there. Was that a possibility? I thought it was. I told the players that. I told them when we arrived in the quarter-final, I said, I genuinely believed we'd arrive here. I didn't know what would happen after that, if I'm honest with you. You know, I just know that we've got a good team. So it meant everything I said about the players not being here for a holiday. And you know, worst thing that could have happened to us is we never got our game right for this tournament. We waited so long for it, did so well in the campaign, and then to come here and fall flat on our face, that would have been a tough one for us, you know. A huge step backwards for us, because I've said before, everybody thinks that the end of this tournament is the end of this little journey, and it's not. You know, it's part of the learning for us. For this bunch of boys, is more to come. You know, and the experience they're going to have to get together in the next 2, 4, 6 years, however long after I'm here, most of these players will be here, and there's success in this team. So this is a part of that learning, and I meant what I said. We're here to compete. We're here to show what we are, and let's see if what we are is good enough to compete against the best. You know, and that was the desired outcome from the beginning.
Okay, the next question, gentleman in front.
Chris, just wondered if you might be able to recollect a little bit about yourself as a young manager up against Ronaldo as a young footballer for the Man United games in particular, I suppose it would have been, and maybe a little bit about his development since then, maybe how Ferguson helped develop him from that point on.
Yeah, I think if you talk to, if I ever speak to Giggsy, or if you hear Alex speaking about him, it's all about how his desire to get better, and I think you see that on the pitch. You see how motivated he is for himself to score and to win. So you can see that a mile off. But I think ever since he was young at Manchester United, he had that desire to train hard, train harder than everybody, get better, win as much as he could. And I think Alex says that he was probably one of the best he's ever worked with. We've said to our players in this tournament, talent is a huge distraction to people. Not enough talent. We've seen talented players. I constantly have conversations with players that say, I played up until a certain level, or he did, and he was brilliantly talented. He had loads of ability. He was unlucky. He never quite made it. But actually, when you look a bit deeper, he was missing something, and that something was attitude, mentality. So talent's not enough. So with all his talent, he's got the mentality to go with it, Same as our boy, Bello. All his natural talent, he's got the mentality to go with it, to work, want to get better. He lives his life right, and he just wants to get better and better. And I remember him at Man United when I was at Fulham as a manager. I think he scored in the last minute in one game. They beat us 2-1, where really we were fine, comfortable. He did something out of the ordinary, went on a mazy run, unstoppable. So, that's, you remember things like that. You remember great pieces of play from great individuals. And they've got one of them, and we've got one. So I think it'll be interesting tomorrow.
Okay, next question, gentleman here.
Rudy Nijens from the Belgian newspaper Het Laatste Nieuws. Mr. Coleman, many of our players were very impressed with the tactics you handled the Belgium game with. We're looking for a new Belgian coach. Could you ever be interested after the European Championship to become Belgium manager?
I have to say, I think the Belgian players are obviously very wise. And, I think I don't care who you are as a manager, as a coach, you're only as good as your players. You are. And I've got a very, very good team. So whatever tactics we use, it's only because they're able to go out onto the pitch and follow the instructions. So I'm lucky. You can be the best coach on the planet. If you don't have the players to go onto the pitch and compete, then nothing happens. It's nice. It was a nice compliment, but it's all about the players. It's all about the team. We've got a very, very good team.
Okay, the gentleman on top there.
Oui, question pour le coach, question aussi pour le joueur ensuite. Lors de la qualification pour les demi-finales, je suis ici.
Sorry.
No problem. Lors de la qualification pour les demi-finales, beaucoup de supporters gallois saluaient la mémoire de Gary Speed. Est-ce que vos pensées vont plus particulièrement vers lui aujourd'hui? Et puis, pour Ashley Williams, est-ce qu'il sent vraiment qu'un souffle, un esprit Gary Speed souffle sur cette sélection, et pour expliquer par exemple cette immense solidarité que vous montrez aujourd'hui sur le terrain?
Me first? Shall I go first? I think if you think about Gary Speed, he had 10 games as a manager, and I think people talk about his legacy as a manager, but I think it's hard to have a legacy in 10 games. Speedo's legacy is 85 caps for Wales, and I think maybe over 50 of them was as a captain, plus his 10 games or 11 games as a manager, in which I think he won 5 of them, showed great promise as a young manager, and then what happened, unfortunately. So that, Speedo's he's not just a Welsh, he's a sporting icon. So that's where all that good feeling comes from, and so it should. But I've said before, I don't need a I don't need a game of football for me to remember Speeds. I think about him every day, not just because I'm at a tournament. You know, I don't need Wales football to remind me of my friend, who no doubt had the possibilities that if he was still here, he could be sitting here where I am, enjoying what we're enjoying. And unfortunately, you know, that was taken away. But of course, we always remember Speeds, but we don't need the football to remember him.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, I was thinking about him on the plane, just to be honest, coming over, and I was reading Chris Wathen's book, and he all brought it back to me at the time. So thinking about that, I just think that my thought coming in was that he, you know, I hope, and I'm pretty sure he'd be proud of us as guys, seeing us grow up and where we are, you know, what we've achieved today. So yeah, you know, he's always in the back of our minds, and it's something that, you know, when we achieve things, we always think about him, and as I say, you know, hopefully he'll be proud of us.
Hi.
Okay, next question, gentleman there.
Hi, Chris, Rob Harris from the Associated Press. First of all, good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
It's been quite a journey for you. You've reached this stage, one game from a final the hard way. How do you reflect on the perseverance going through those second division jobs across Europe and dragging yourself up from sort of the low points to sort of retain the faith in yourself and to reach this stage?
Yeah, a good question actually. It's hard, you know. Especially as a manager, there's a lot of good managers out of work because there's only so many jobs. If you get it wrong, 2 jobs running, if you get it wrong, it's hard to get that third one. That's generally the rule. I got it wrong at Coventry. I could give you loads of sob stories about my time at Coventry, but actually, if I'm honest, you know, I should have done better. I'm not going to point fingers at anyone there. I could do. I'll look at myself first. I could have done better. Should have done better. And then I was out of work for a year. And then my next job, which was probably 4 years after managing in the Premier League, was in the second division in Greece. That was my next job, and I went there on the advice of Alex Ferguson. He didn't know I was going to get that job. He just told me, "You've been out for a year, don't wait. The next one that comes up, doesn't matter what it is, take it." So I did. Took a chance. Best thing that happened to me. Because the year out actually was good because I could rethink everything. I rethought a lot about myself and my approach in my job and outside my job. So that gave me a better time. But then I had to go to the second division in Greece to work. Probably one of the best things I've ever done. Because, you know, you find out a lot about yourself when you're out of a comfortable environment, an environment that you know. And you're asked different questions, and you have to have the answers. You know, in Greece, there's such passionate people, and normally you get 5 or 6 games in our country. Over there, if you lose 2 or 3 on the bounce, it's good night. So I had that to contend with. What I didn't realise when I went to Greece was I would be working for nothing because we never got paid. But that was another experience. But it was the best thing I did. I worked with great people at the Club Larissa, fantastic people. The players with different class and their mentality. And yeah, it was one of the best experiences because it made me work harder. It just makes you look at things differently. And the next job that came up after that, I resigned from there, was this one. But it stood me in good stead, you know, because it was my second stint abroad where I say a comfort zone. When you're working in England all the time, or Wales or Scotland, we're working in our country, we kind of know the football, we know all the faces. It's not a comfort zone, it's still really tough. But when you come out, when you go to a different country, it's a brand new ball game, you know. I'm glad I did it, and I would do it again for sure. Absolutely do it again. You know, whenever my time's finished there, I think people would say, "Oh, I might go to the Premier League or the Championship or whatever." But ideally, I'd love a chance to go and work abroad again because it made me better. You know, made me look at things a bit differently.